All right, guys, welcome back to the Spin Zone podcast. I am Cake Eater 1991, and I also have Martine and Vile, and we also have a special guest. He took first place at this past weekend's Kraken Hits. I'm actually going to go ahead, give him the floor to have him introduce himself and anything else that we should know about him. So go ahead, the floor is all yours, special guest.
Hello, my name is EmrysTal of Team Metal Empire, composed of myself, Wayward, and Plain Egg Salad. Um, we are a team, and based on our name, we are fans of Digimon and various other things, but mainly Digimon. So we chose Metal Empire as our team name, and um, yeah, just kind of went from there, and then uh, kind of meet for practice and advice and uh, that kind of thing. Uh, yeah. Um, um,
Hey, it's all good.
yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so go ahead and tell like what deck you are running in.
So my deck was composed of Phoenix Wing 160 Rush,
Ooh.
Shark Scale 450 Low Rush,
Oh, you did run
and
Shark Scale. Okay.
yeah,
It
yeah.
okay. I thought it was only
And
the guy that placed at third that had Shark Scale.
no, yeah. And then the third was Wizard Rod 960 Hexa.
I've been
Uh,
seeing a lot of Wizard on Hexa compared to Ball lately.
mhm.
What do you guys
Yeah,
feel about that?
well, I'll give the reason why I ran it.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, so in the previous tournament that I attended, I ran what a lot of people are currently running is Wizard Rod on 160 hexa because of how well 160 gets Rod out of the pocket and
Mm-hmm.
back into play and everything. But for me, at least when I shoot Wizard Rod, it seems to move around a lot more than other people's Wizard Rods.
Right.
Um, so f- so for so I'm able to avoid a lot of hits that because my Wizard Rod doesn't just go straight to the center like a lot of people's do. So
What
I
does yours
found
do?
that like I don't know, like for me it seems to, or at least the way I launch it, I suppose it makes it run around like Rush. So I or Rush or so
That's
yeah,
wild.
so yeah, like it's crazy. And like yeah, and even when it does go to the center, like it like any random hit will cause my Wizard Rod to just run around immediately afterward. So it's like at least just from my performance. And then so at the last tournament when I was running it, it ran fine, but I did notice that when it went into the long game and or into the end game, my Wizard Rod, especially in the mirror, the 160 would cause it to destabilize.
Mm-hmm.
So I would lose the stamina matchup against like other Wizard Rods or against like Silverwolf and stuff. So I decided like, well, I'm already avoiding the hits, so I'm less likely to hit the pocket. And I launch fairly aggressively, so I even if I do hit the pocket, or even if I do hit the pocket, I do have like a decent chance of bouncing out just based on momentum. So I decided to just go back to the safer 960, and then to like maximize the stamina performance of my Wizard Rod, and it worked out for me.
So do you flat launch it then, or do you? How do you? I guess how do
I
you shoot?
I shoot at a slight tilt. Um, depending if I'm on the B side, I will typically try to shoot for the B side upper left corner, and then on
Hmm.
the if I'm on the X side, I will typically try to stand near the top right corner and then shoot at um, a harder tilt forward. So going or shooting right into the middle of the or tilting straight into the middle of the bowl, and then having the the wizard rod kind of scoop or like shoot go in and then scoop backwards, because then it will or by doing it that way, I usually am lucky enough to have it avoid the first like 2 or 3 hits.
And those
And
are the first couple hits are very
mhm,
critical.
yeah, so yeah, so for me the yeah for me 960 hexa it just benefited my personal launch style more than 160 did.
Right. I guess Martine or Vile, how do you guys feel? Because you guys were both also at the tournament. How do you guys also feel about Hexa kind of being more in play compared to Wizard Ball?
I
I
think
mean, it
that's
definitely was.
yeah, that's definitely a normal thing. I feel like with everybody in the local meta, they seem to prefer that because usually I think ball is just I don't know, it's like too slow. Hexa is like definitely stronger.
Yeah,
It feels like um I don't know. I didn't get to play in the tournament. I usually play Wizard Rod on ball because I don't have a Hexa, but I've been seeing a lot of Hexa do really well. So it might be time to go on the Hexa train.
Yeah. I think with the recent releases of like more aggressive like blades and bits, um that wizard rod on ball, you're just kind of opening yourself up to more burst finishes.
yeah, it's just a loose
And
bit, but with
yeah,
Hexa, it's so tight.
mhm. Like if I was still like I do like running wizard rod on ball, um but I would only ever run it on like 960 ball. I
Not
don't
360.
trust like I don't trust 360.
That's
Like
fair.
it could just be the ones that I have aren't very um strong, but I've never really I never really liked 360 on Wizard Rod.
Hmm. That is an interesting take. I know me personally, I have my wizard on 360, but it's either I've just seen a lot of people running 360 or 960. I
Mhm.
haven't seen really uh, any other variant with wizard. It's either 360 ball, 360 hexa, or 960 ball, 960 hexa.
Mhm.
Maybe a rush every
Yeah.
once in a while, but other than that, Vile, what do you think about hexa being more dominant, especially over in last week's tournament compared
I
to
mean, I
ball?
definitely. Can you guys hear me good?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You're
Yeah.
good, but you're good.
Okay. I definitely felt like Hexa showed up. I don't want to say more than I expected because this was the first tournament I had judged, but
Oh, I
I was
forgot you
kind of
judged it. Yeah,
surprised to. Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see how many wizards wound up on Hexa. As far as like why that's happening, I think it was kind of already touched on. I think that's just what the local meta prefers. And I really haven't done enough looking into the meta in other states or even other countries to really speak on whether that's a trend all over the place or it's just kind of going on here in Minnesota.
yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true. I've always liked um, wizard on hexa first, but then I just got me a wyvern, so I put wyvern on hexa just to try that out, and we can kind of get into my deck later on because um, I got I made top 8, which was absolutely awesome. It was like 30 people, 31 people, and made top 8. So another great win. And Chad, who our other guest or other co-host, he's running a little late and everything. He actually took second, so we'll kind of get his input later on.
Mhm.
So we can kind of go through deck profiles again and kind of go from there.
Yeah, Chad did a great job. I judged, I'd say, the majority of his matches throughout the event.
Right.
And he performed really well.
I think
Um,
I think you personally judged all of mine except for maybe the last one.
so what I can tell you is that the way it was being run at Kraken this past weekend was the TO, and now I'm horrible with names. I'm gonna forget the TO names.
Oh,
Sam.
It was
yeah,
Sam.
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 Yep.
Yeah, Sam is a pretty chill guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of let us call up whatever matches we wanted. So I'm not
Oh,
going to
okay.
lie. I definitely called up people that I was familiar with or that I'd already judged in like rounds 1 or round 2 because I was already kind of comfortable with how they were going to react to things. Um, and I was just one of the rounds, and I won't say which round because I don't need to call the person out. It wasn't like a huge issue or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but one player got a little bit upset because they lost to someone that, over the course of, let's say, 100 matches,
Who
they
gets
probably wouldn't have
baited
lost
and
too many times
outsmarted by
to. But the other player just got a couple extreme finishes, essentially, that I
Mm-hmm.
don't know were like incredibly skill based on what I saw from that player the rest of the event. And the player who had lost that way, they didn't yell or scream or hoot or holler or anything, but I could just tell they were like a little touchy about it. And I'm like, well, we're just gonna avoid that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, later on, I would like to kind of go off of our rulings, or because we actually had a submitted question from one of our viewers about rulings and everything. We can kind of go off of that later on.
oh yeah, that'd be great to talk about.
Yeah, I think it would be a great topic to talk about.
I have a question for EmrysTal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you feel like Shark Scale was the best performing bay in your deck?
Ooh.
How do you feel about Shark Scale right now, currently?
I I I would say that my best performing bay that weekend was Phoenix Wing. Just because Phoenix Wing 160 Rush is definitely a tried and true combo, and it's the one that I'm most familiar with. And then Shark Scale is definitely one of the strongest blades to come out currently, and I would say Shark Scale would definitely have been my runner-up in terms of like MVP in my deck. Like, yeah, like if I would say Phoenix Wing followed by Shark Scale and then Wizard Rod. Just like that, when going into each round, that was generally my starting lineup, and because like I know Phoenix Wing is going to be super reliable for me to try and get those early points. Shark Scale is so aggressive and that I can either hope to try and get like extend that early lead, or just make up the if I did happen to lose on Phoenix Wing, make up those points with the Shark Scale, and then if if that didn't get me the game, then the Wizard Rod will either get me that last point or get me in the lead before the reshuffle. So I would say yeah, like out of all of the recent releases, like Shark Scale is definitely the one, like if you were to look at like the last like 3 or 4 releases, Shark Scale is definitely worth purchasing the deck set for,
Mm-hmm.
just to get that blade. I mean, it's so versatile, and it's so aggressive. It's I would say it's probably going to be like the like the foremost attack type taking over Phoenix Wing and Arrow Pegasus.
So you think everyone should have a shark scale right now as like a staple in everyone's deck?
I think so, yeah, because it's the weight is uh what was mine was like upper like or 37.7 or something like that,
Okay.
or 37.8.
So you
So
found
like it's
so you found yourself
so it
just using it a lot more.
yeah, like it yeah, like it's almost as heavy as my Mold 3 Phoenix, and the shape is just it's so it's so low that that yeah, it can just undercut a lot of blades. If you're launching at a tilt, it can like destabilize them, or just like scoop under them and put in like, because like there were so many games where either my shark scale or my opponent's bay would just get knocked into the air,
Yeah.
and then and so like especially in like or like my shark scale versus like hover wyvern, both of them are designed to just kind of
Ooh.
scoop under stuff.
Yeah.
And like at this tournament there weren't a or there were a couple of launches where they would jump a lot, but at the previous tournament that I had been to, that like there were games where bays involving shark scale and hover, where the bays would just literally fly out the top of the shroud. And
That
I
that's
yeah,
wild.
yeah.
So
So
definitely if
yeah.
yeah, I personally would like to try to get my hand on a shark scale, but like Bays and Bricks, they don't
Mhm.
have any in stock right now. I don't know if you guys would know of any other location that has any in stock. Bays and Bricks
Ooh.
are the only location that I looked at.
So
I
I
yeah.
have I can speak a little bit to that. I have generally, like, I'm not saying I haven't seen it anywhere because like it is some places, but what
Mhm.
I have seen is at pre-order it was pretty common to say pay 48 to $50, I'd say, for it. Now pretty much anywhere that has it for the $50 is sold out, and I've even seen some places sold out at $60.
That's
And when I say
wild.
places, I mean, places we're familiar with, Bays and Bricks, Bay Warehouse, similar types of sites.
Hmm.
It is a little bit harder to get because I think a lot of people were sleeping on it, and it's turned out to be a really good bay. And as to what Emrys was saying, I agree with him that maybe not every single deck that every single player is running just needs or has to have Shark Scale, but I'd say that every serious blader should at least own it and have access to it, because obviously Emrys took first place. He was running it. I forget the gentleman's name, but the guy who wound up taking third, he was also running it.
That's
And I
Wacko
know,
Carnival. Good,
yeah, Wacko Carnival. And I
another
know
great
that
great blader.
he is. And I know that Battleship wound up kind of not doing so hot the first round of the playoffs, so he got knocked out. But he was the number one seed, and I believe he was running it as well.
Um,
So, like heading into the top eight. So I think a lot of people were running it, and I think it saw some pretty good success.
yeah, I know me personally. I think you and Wacko were the only two that were there that this past weekend that actually had the shark scale. But
Yeah, yeah, I think it. Um, so I ordered mine off of Surugaya. I was lucky enough to order it before or it went out of stock,
nice.
and I was able to get it before. I think I got it like a couple days earlier than my teammate, um, who got it like a day or two after I think mine arrived. Um, and he ordered, I believe, from Bays and Bricks.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think it's just sold out because like everyone's either or everyone's ordering it, and they're probably getting multiples because of the fact that there's that whole thing about the pink protrusions on shark scale breaking, and then that especially in Japan, if a part it, like if it's dented to the point where it's blunted, I think that toes the area of like tournament legality.
Right.
But if you're snapping like those protrusions off, they instantly become tournament invalid. So I'm sure that the reason why a lot of them are out of stock is that people are buying as like as many as they can, just so that way if theirs does break due to an unlucky instance, they'll have
Right.
extras so that way they can continue running it.
Yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
something like this on our first episode. Do you think people are hanging on to shark scales right now because they are hard to get? So they are hanging on to them more because of what you just said, that they are hanging on to them because they might get damaged and just replace them? Or do you actually think that they're just hanging on to them so they can flip and sell them?
Oh, yeah. I I I think both because like if you're piecing out that deck set, there's a good amount of in that deck set that's like that you can make money off of.
Right.
But uh especially or I think with the in terms of like people just holding on to them because they're either afraid of them getting damaged or uh, well, not either, but in that specific case,
Right.
um I'm not sure what the ruling is for the WBO because yeah, this is kind of like compared to like um other blades where like it takes a considerable amount of time to wear like contact points down to the point where the blade becomes illegal for use.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just because it juts out and is very easy to break. So people, I think it's like but it's also not like a major contact point. It's just the fact that it sticks out just enough that where like a bad hit can just crack that plastic. But it in the large scheme of things, like that point doesn't do a ton in game unless you're hitting at like the very perfect angle where hitting it hitting that point will like KO them like into a pocket or something. But
Right.
it's not going to be like it's like like those martial arts films um where like the swordsman will like deflect it by like poking it at the exact angle and either like splitting something in half or
Splitting
like
like the
deflecting
bullet.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then yeah, so like that pink piece is like not super important, but then it's also just like um are we going to disqualify like that blade just for that piece breaking off when it doesn't it's not like a strength of the blade, right? The main thing about the blade is that it's flatter and can and the shape, but like that point is I feel like that point doesn't do much. It's mainly for aesthetics.
I think, yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and I think without
Mhm,
the little two pink edges that are
mhm,
sticking out, I think even without them, it would look like a very nice, sharp looking blade.
right.
So
I
what?
So
mean,
yes.
the blade is beautiful, but
Oh yeah,
I mean,
beautiful colors.
we kind of run up on this with, in a couple. We're talking about almost two separate things, right? Because we're talking about a contact point jutting out, um, and that to me is most similar to like Dranbuster, who a lot of people talk about, wanting to use newer ones when the contact points start to wear. But then you're
Mhm,
also talking about breaking, which I think was happening most prominently on like Silver Wolf, even though it doesn't have anything that jutted out. It just seemed to not be the greatest mold. And both those kind of issues are kind of combined into one with this bay.
mhm.
Yeah. What about you, Martine? What do you think about the looking of shark scale?
I bought one after I saw the results, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna find a way to buy it. I ended up getting off a buy,
Oh,
and it was, I mean, it was pretty cheap. It was like 35 bucks. But
was it?
obviously with buy, you have to like buy the item, then they ship it to a warehouse, and then you got to pay the shipping on it or whatever.
Mhm.
So I mean, it in total, I think it was like 50 bucks or so around that.
For just a
So
shark
I was
or
like,
for the full complete set?
for the complete set, and then to get it shipped. And then obviously like there's a buy thing where they can inspect the package to make sure. Like you don't have to opt in for that, but I always do just to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure I'm not like translating the page wrong or something. But yeah, I ended up getting it for like around like the $50, $55 mark. So I was just like, okay, well,
Yeah,
I was just thinking, yeah, I probably should have pre-ordered this, but you know,
I mean, $50 for 3 bays, especially one of them being like a top meta bay right now. That's not really too bad.
yeah, and like
Honest,
it's gonna be
honestly,
probably difficult to find it.
Oh yeah.
I don't disagree. And honestly, and I told Sam this because we had wound up talking for a couple hours after the event was over. I was super disappointed because he had put up like a group buy type of thing for that deck set, and he needed like 10 or 12 people to, agree to buy one to get the price, but it was only going to be like $40. And I was like right on top of that because I thought the shark looked really cool. I knew nothing about it at the time. I just thought it looked cool. But he couldn't get enough people, so we didn't wind up doing it. And I'm like, man, I bet everyone's kind of kicking themselves right now not signing up for that when they had the chance.
I didn't hear about that.
Hey, that
Yeah,
would have been great to know.
Yeah.
and that's what I wonder is he'd done it with one other one. I think he had done it with Tricera Press as well, and that one had gone off. He posts it normally in the buy sell trade thing, but for whatever reason the deck set just didn't have enough interest, and like I said, it was too bad because I think 50 is like a fine price, but I think obviously 40 is even better price, right?
Right, absolutely. Especially shark scale 450 under flat. That comes with also Trirano 170 level. Hell's Brave 360 gear flat. So overall, those aren't completely awful.
Right.
No, they aren't.
No, definitely something just to even add just to your collection. So what do you think
I mean,
about? Yeah, so go ahead, Vile.
real quick before you move on to the next topic. And I would argue that the level is very strong too. I mean, level is a great bit.
Level is a very
And
underrated bit.
well, purple is my favorite color, so I'm totally happy with the Samurai Saber purple version. I know purple isn't everyone's color, and I think having access to level in a different color from that deck set is really cool.
What color does it come in? For
In
The
the deck
deck
set,
set,
it's black.
black. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, I had actually forgotten that the deck set came with the black level. So I originally bought the Takara Tomy Samurai Saber one, and then I bought the Hasbro one to get a backup level. And then when someone reminded me that, hey, the Shark Scale deck set comes with a black level, I'm like, oh, why did I buy the second one? Why did I buy the second
I
Samurai
mean,
one?
obviously, getting a Samurai Saber is not even a
Yeah.
bad pickup.
Oh no, like Samurai Saber is I would say if if Wizard Rod got if that blade got banned and people like moved to like um if people moved to Silverwolf as like the main as like the new like main stamina or right spin stamina, then Samurai Saber might be second because like it's definitely like the jack of all trades of blades.
So Vile, I guess Wayward says that he thought there were enough people
enough people
No.
for what?
to get that Shark Edge buy thing that you were talking about.
Oh, the Shark
Hold on.
Scale.
Did he say that?
That's what Wayward just said up in chat.
Okay, well let me go double check because I'm like 99.99999% sure that didn't happen.
Well, either way.
Let me.
Um,
Anyways, you can continue,
yeah,
and I'll take a look and see.
wonderful. And just so you guys are aware, we got Chad coming back from just coming back. So welcome back, buddy. And also congratulations on getting second place this past weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's put A and B together. All four of us met up for the first time. It was absolutely incredible. These guys are great guys overall, absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, so
Do you guys want to talk about your finals match and how that went?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah,
we
let's
certainly
let's
can.
let's
Oh,
talk about that. But real quick before we start, Wayward, I tagged you in the appropriate thread on the server. You can go check it out if you want.
there we go. So your guys' final
Yes.
match, it was you guys had some good battles, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It
A lot
wasn't
of beautiful back and forth between us.
it was a
Mhm.
completely back and forth. Definitely wasn't just a one-sided battle. So GG's to both of you guys. It was amazing just to watch you guys.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
I was like uh from a from a player point of view, if I had won like 2 sets in a row, like that would have been for like for the stress and mental, like that would have been beneficial for me.
Mm-hmm.
But from a viewer point of view, I would have definitely I'm definitely happy how it came out, where it went to the third set, and that
Exactly.
and it was a close third set too. So
Very close, very close.
As someone who loves to make sure everyone's having fun and everyone's entertained, what really killed me during the matchups is the two times where the one time where I won because my opponent accidentally like threw themselves out of the extreme pocket, and then of course when I flew out the extreme pocket during one of my matchups.
Yep.
That's the worst way to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was against me there, Chad.
Yeah.
Yep. Had a
Yeah.
and again, we're gonna kind of go back to that ruling or go to rulings later on, but just right now, it's a really stupid rule. But we will get to there
Eh,
eventually. But yeah, if you
I
guys
can't
want,
wait to hear what this is about. I'm excited to hear about this role you guys want to comment on.
it's a lot of the rules that were in place, but yeah, if you guys want to talk about your heat of the battles, actually, Chad, if you want to talk about the deck that you ran first, then we can definitely
oh,
fan out from there.
absolutely. So it's funny because when I joined in, we were talking about how if Wizard Rod was banned, Silver Wolf would be up there in terms of like stamina bays. And seeing as I had Silver Wolf as a stamina type bay, I absolutely agree that, especially on a low height, which a lot of people told me not to do that. They told me to run it on a high height, but as I proved, Silver Wolf on 960 or a 60 height is just perfect, especially with ball. It's just the right height.
Really?
And the reason for it, I think, is because a lot of Beyblades like to try to ratchet snipe, and it is just low enough that even like your the shark scales on low flat or low rush or any other of the ratchet sniper bays on low rush are just not short enough to hit the ratchet. 9 times out of 10, they'll either hit the lower part of the metal or they will in fact hit the free spinning plastic, which is just perfect.
Yeah.
But obviously, Wizard Rod on level did a lot of work. But uh, during the tournament, I had Wizard Rod on 560. I have since put him on 160 because it's way less burstable than my 560 ratchet was. So he's going to be a little more interesting when I use him. And then the last combo was my beautiful, beautiful Pringles chip, aka the Hover Wyvern on 760 Hexa.
You know,
Just an absolute unit.
ever since you called Hover Wyvern potato chip, I can't look at it the same.
It's literally shaped like the famous Pringles chip, and that's why I love to call it potato chip or Pringle.
God. Yeah, looking at mine,
I
I just cannot look at Wyvern the same now. So I appreciate it. I just got mine, so now you're just calling him Pringle or potato chip or whatever, and it looks like a damn potato chip.
Yeah. Well,
That's
what's funny too is when me and AJ got back from the tournament, AJ being my friend who wasn't able to participate, um, I held it from the side, and he mentioned the fact that it looks a lot like Piccolo's cape, like the shoulder pads, and I was like, I see it now,
I don't.
just
I,
a little bit.
Okay, okay.
yeah,
I guess.
if you're holding it the wide or with the wide um arc pointing towards you, it the the waves of the blade of the blade it looks
Oh,
kind of like
okay.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
okay. I was looking at it at all sorts of directions, but
you
looking
were
at it,
looking at it from the other direction where like the shape is pointing down, but we're talking about when they're when the side of the profile of the Beyblade is with the sides down being facing towards you and not like to the sides.
Yeah,
oh,
it looks like his weighted mantle.
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I am very of all the Beyblades, obviously I love them all. They did exactly what they were supposed to during that tournament. I am just so happy that I got to show people just how dangerously powerful Hover Wyvern on a heavy low ratchet with Hexa is. Because oh my goodness, I'm pretty sure that Beyblade put in the most work during that entire tournament.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know if you've also played TCGs, but all four of us have, and I can
Yep,
personally say from personal experience, like Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, you had to put so much money, and all the top decks are about, I'm gonna say about 95 to 98% identical. It all depends on the heart of the cards. But with
right
Beyblades,
now in the meta, it is especially true because a lot of people in Yu-Gi-Oh are running a lot of the same like hand traps in all of their decks and barely running any cards from the actual deck itself.
yeah, and it's wild, and that's what makes Beyblade so cool is you have so many bits, so many just everything that the smallest little thing can make or break, and not all decks are going to be identical, and it's amazing to see. Yeah,
Exactly. I'm pretty sure I'd have to look back at all the Beyblades that were used during the tournament. I feel like I was the only one using, or I was one of the only ones at least using Wizard Rod, for example, on an attack bit or an attack slash stamina bit like level is. But
I will.
obviously, there were quite a few people using Wizard Rod, and they were using the standard defense or stamina combo, which obviously you're going to see that.
Mhm.
Yep. And then we kind of tackled that before you got here. It was either 360 baller hexa or 960 ball hexa. It's nothing really else
Yeah.
in between.
Right.
Which is funny because I'm pretty sure after the tournament, people are going to look at Wizard Rod differently because a lot of people recognize this, and I did too, obviously, but I'm glad more people noticed it. Wizard Rod on an attack bit did really, really well against the one matchup Wizard Rod fails at most of the time, and that is the dreaded Dragoon Elevate.
And coming from a Dragoon Elevate player, I agree. I,
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure in our match there were a couple of times where my Wizard Rod was able to outspin your Dragoon, if even if it was just for a little bit.
I think it did, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, just like any other like competition, so many things bleed in together.
Yes, exactly.
I I do like so I do like Dragoon Elevate. I ran it quite a bit, and I've also run the Wizard Rod on level in the past, and it's definitely it's a strong contender if you want something that um it's a strong contender. You're kind of letting up a little bit on stamina in order to boost some of the other attributes to make it a little bit more versatile. But then for me, I ran it for a while, but then I I think it just came down to my I'm not as familiar with level as I'd like to be. So I instead I just chose to maximize the this maximize what the the bays are good at.
Mm-hmm.
to get the most consistency. So like Phoenix Wing on Rush, or Phoenix Wing 160 Rush is a classic combo. Like
Absolutely.
definitely top tier meta. A lot of people are like the usage of Phoenix Wing has kind of gone down over the last couple months as newer releases come out and people are experimenting with like other attack types, right? Because um Phoenix Wing, but like for me, I had in the last tournament I didn't run Phoenix Wing. I actually did run Hover Wyvern on I think one six. It was either 160 rush or 170 low rush,
Mm-hmm.
um, or 160 kick. I can't remember. It was one of those three. And then, but uh, I found uh, I found the combination of Hover Wyvern and 160 to be a little bit uncontrollable for me. And I've seen like in the winning combinations list like a lot of people have piloted it to like success, and I think that comes down to like player familiarity, right? Like no matter like you could copy the um you could copy all the first place decks that you come across, but if you're not familiar with how to launch or not practicing the launch and just assuming like as long as I just go unga bunga I can just I'll win, right? And that's clearly not the case, right? There is a lot of player skill. You have to gauge, predict where your opponent's launching, and then also just control like your own control, right? Going on or going full send will not even on like on attack where you want to go as hard as you can, within reason, that it might not always be the best decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that kind of goes back what I was just saying earlier.
yeah,
Like with all TCGs, the top decks are very identical to one another, and with Beyblades, you can have so many variants of like the same Bay. Like
mm,
Chad has Rush on his, but I have Ball on mine.
mm, mm.
I
So
wasn't using Rush.
didn't you just say?
Oh no, he said level.
I said level on my Wizard Rod.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah, level.
yeah.
My bad. That's my mistake. But either way,
I
yeah,
I have wanted to try.
put Rush
Yeah.
on Wizard.
I've seen. I mean, I've seen a couple winning decks that ran Rod on Rush, and I get it. I mean, for any like Wizard Rod is a really big circle, so I mean, uh, putting it on Rush, it can just push stuff out of the or into the pocket if it really wanted to.
Yeah, especially if it gets
Um,
that rail, that's gonna hit
Yeah.
you.
yeah. Mhm,
But it ain't gonna outspin you by any sort of means.
right. Yeah, I think yeah, like it my philosophy of the deck building is maximize strengths whenever possible. Like sure, like yes, there are, meta is meta for a reason, right? Because it's the most consistently winning combinations.
Yeah,
So, um, I'm not gonna complain when someone's running meta. It's as long as as long as they're as long as it's not winning because it's just solely on the strength of the parts. And if you were to ask me like Wizard Rod on Ball or any other stamina bit like in the last like 6 to 8 months and say should Wizard Rod be banned because of how overly strong it is, I would say I I wouldn't ban it outright, but I would say maybe do a conditional ban where you can't use it on X amount of or on certain bits, right? Like
yeah, like a certain
because
build.
yeah, there's a specific amount of bits that Wizard Rod that you can exclude from Wizard Rod and then get like the power scale down to a balance like or to within like other or to comparable to other stamina combos, right? And but with the release of like newer parts in the last couple months, like again, like rod on ball is still the stamina combo to go, but it's a lot more burstable now with like with the newer bits and newer blades. So I feel like that it doesn't need to be banned. Although again, it's kind of like how like some TCGs with ban lists, they're like, this thing has been around for too long and it's just hindering deck creation or deck design. So
Or
there is that
yeah,
argument where it's like it's just been around for so long that everyone's going to keep using it, and then um so just to promote or just to say we'll remove it for a while so that way people innovate by choosing different options, right?
yeah,
Because like Takara Tomy is a company that's trying to sell toys, so they're like that part of that like that because of how overly dominant it was in Japan's like one bay Swiss format, or not one bay Swiss, just their one bay like group uh group A
Like G3
format.
tournaments. Yep.
Yeah, like yeah, because yeah, because that's not Swiss. There's because if you lose once, I think you're out. So um but
Was
uh
single elimination, yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, their one bay format, Wizard Rod just was overwhelmingly used.
yeah.
So
So they banned it,
there's
didn't
just
they?
yeah, yeah, they banned it. But now I believe they did say that they're removing that restriction. So because again, like as newer stuff comes out, the power scale changes, and then
Mm,
so like there are times where I wish that um that balance is tuned more often in Beyblade, but again, there because of how interactive the game is, skill does take a or does play a higher part. So um yeah, so I can understand why like the WBO didn't ban Wizard Rod. But it would have been, I feel like, just to get more varied parts in the meta, I feel like it could have gone on a small break.
interesting.
If
So
I can put my 2 cents in on this, I actually have a pretty good opinion on this with some examples that'll really help people understand like my position on the whole Wizard Rods situation.
yeah, go ahead, man.
So obviously, I'll start off by saying I totally get why people hate seeing Wizard Rod. I understand, but the other thing that a lot of us have to remember is Beyblade X is still fairly new, all things considered. Obviously, the as the line continues to go on, more and more Beyblades will be added. I don't feel Wizard Rod is as powerful as people think. It's really good, do not get me wrong. It's definitely top 5. But the thing is, as someone who used to play Metal Fight, it's nowhere near as bad as some of the combos that we made in Metal Fight that just absolutely broke that game. Like the famous Flame 230 CS Beyblade, which absolutely broke the meta for Metal Fight for the longest time, and it's still technically broken because we can't go back to the way we used to play Beyblades in the Metal Fight series because it used to be all about low Beyblades, and then you get this Beyblade that's literally built like the the Wiz Khalifa tower, and it's just you can't hit it with anything with any short Beyblades. It's physically impossible to knock it over. So we had to adapt and make tall attack types in order to match up against it. But now the tall attack types are able to get hit by the small ones. So it's one of those things where it's just like Wizard Rod is really good, but so is Soar Phoenix, and so is Dragoon on Elevate, and so is so many other Beyblades right now are just with each new set of Beyblades, we're getting parts that are more and more reducing the strength of like the top contenders. Like I think we all remember when Phoenix was absolutely like you had to have that in your deck if you wanted to win any
Yes.
sort of tournaments whatsoever. Then Wizard Rod came around and you had to have that to win a tournament. And now it's moved on to Dragoon on Elevate to win a tournament. So it's one of those things where it's like I understand seeing the same Beyblade over and over and over again gets tiring and people get sick of fighting it. But the other thing to remember too is we have so many counters for Wizard Rod right
Mhm.
now that a lot of people just aren't utilizing. In fact, in the tournament, Wizard Rod was absolutely getting dunked on by Shark Scale anytime we had that matchup.
So I actually had a question from a viewer over on YouTube. Do you feel the option of the Wizard Rod band changes if you are playing deck format instead of 3v3?
I feel like it's definitely more. You definitely have a stronger argument with one versus the other, but at the same time, I don't feel we're too far. I don't think we're in Beyblade X, or Beyblade X hasn't been around long enough for us to start banning anything. Because again, Wizard Rod is great, but we have a plethora of ways to beat it. You just have to have a combo that beats it. And unlike other games, a combo that beats Wizard Rod is also going to beat a lot of other combos. So it's not like you have to make a combo specifically for Wizard Rod, whereas like in Metal Fight, you had to have a combo specifically to beat Flame 230 CS, or in Burst, you had to have a combo that could withstand the attacks of Guilty Longinus.
So my thoughts on it are essentially like in deck, I think Wizard Rod is more oppressive than it is in just straight up 3v3.
Yeah.
And I would be hard pressed to argue against that point. What I will say, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion because I know a lot of Beyblade players are pretty loath to want to ban anything, but coming from all manner of card games that I've played, off and on since I was probably in the 5th grade, um, what I can say is that banning stuff in card games is pretty common. And
Yes.
Wizard Rod, in my opinion, does show up in a high enough percentage of decks, whether you're talking deck format or just a regular 3v3 format, where I would make the argument that it should at least be discussed because it is in too high of a percentage of decks, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like if we were to ban Rod in any way, even though we are kind of new to Beyblade X, if we were to ban Rod, then I feel like the meta would just be all attack type based and not really all the other stamina bays would get to shine because there'd probably be just decks based off. And then again, like because Wizard Rod is there, all the other attack type bays, like the older ones that first came out, like when Shark Edge or like Shark Edge was pretty good. If anything, we'd probably go back to running what's that one bay? The like Chain Incendio, stuff like
Chain
that.
Incendio, yeah.
Oh,
Because
I think wasn't it Health Size that was actually the more stamina focused?
or even even running Hell Scythe. I think when Beyblade X first came out, it was really just Incendio, Chain, and Phoenix that was like the meta deck in a way, but ever since
It
Rod, that
was.
kind of phased those two bays out. So then, if anything, those bays would probably come back. And we added more like Silver Wolf, stuff like that. So probably, or Hover Iron. So it would probably give you more space to like fit in a Cobalt and maybe make more like attack centric bays or decks.
Mm-mm.
For me,
That's why
um,
oh,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. For me, I think having a ban list is actually kind of a cool idea because looking at the uh, the top 4 places of this past weekend, all four of them ran some kind of variant of Wizard Rod.
Mhm.
So if we ban Wizard Rod, it would give uh, someone else to shine a little bit better, like Silver Wolf or Whale or Scorpion or whoever, just so they can shine out. Because I think a lot of other tournaments, probably 98% of them, have some kind of variant of Rod.
So
Yeah,
okay,
Cake.
so
I would agree with you. I would say that I'd be surprised if anyone in the top 8 at all wasn't running Wizard Rod, and I even saw 10-year-old kids that I'm sure were nowhere near the top 8 who were also
mhm.
running Wizard Rod.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, because
So
they probably
my
just
opinion,
yeah. Go ahead, man.
or sorry, yeah, my opinion on the whole ban Rod is like there are people that like Rod, right? Just like not because it's
Yeah.
the like the best one, but that's why like for me it's that's why I don't support an outright ban on the blade, but that's why I said conditional bans, right? Because like if you're not
Mm,
running, if you were to say ban rods specifically on ball and free ball, right? And this is this is not in the current meta, but this is like 6 months ago. Back when there weren't as many answers to specifically rod on ball, right?
yeah.
So, like, if you were to say ban Wizard Rod on or only on ball and free ball, yes, they could run it, and maybe even Hexa. Like, just say those three, right? The three most common ones. Like, people
Yeah.
might swap to it running it on wedge, might swap to running it on level, and which again, they're easier to like they're still strong, but it's just like they're either easier to destabilize, easier to burst, easier to knock out. Like, but then the part is still present, right? So that way, the
Yeah.
people that still want to run specifically Wizard Rod can still run it. They could even, yeah, and again, like I said before, there are people were running Wizard Rod on rush or low rush. People were running, or people have run Wizard Rod on kick, um, to try and get more aggression out of it and everything. And so like Rod can do more things. It's just that for the people that want to maximize its strength, which is stamina, um, uh, that because those specific combinations are available, you're gonna run it because it wins. So
Mm,
if you were to ban those, do conditional bans, the you get a more natural like reduction of use without saying like you instead of saying you can't use this part, people just might naturally stop using it because they would prefer other alternatives, right? And so
yes.
like it's kind of like how Dragoon, right? Cobalt Dragoon when it came out, very underutilized.
Oh, completely.
And
Up
like
until
at most people ran it on Glide, right?
yeah, up until
And
recent.
then yeah. So like running it on Elevate instantly pushed it into like S tier combo territory. If you were to do a conditional ban on Dragoon and Elevate, people might just naturally just fall back on using it, or like reduce using it, or they might explore using using Cobalt Dragoon on different bits for right? Because like I feel like
Yeah.
Dragoon Elevate is just so good that people would just rather run that than try to test Cobalt Dragoon on something else. Because like I've tried using, especially with the left ripcord winder, I've used Wizard or Dragoon on attack bits because like I never used Dragoon on attack bits when we only had the left string launcher because I couldn't get enough power out of the left string launcher
Yeah.
to for a decent attack combo. But um and but with the left ripcord launcher, I feel like people could be using it on attack bits, but don't because Dragoon
Mm,
Elevate is just so consistent.
It's
yeah.
good. It's a good hit.
If I can add just one more thing that I think would be a fair. I think it's something all of us here in the Beyblade space could at least agree to look on in the future, which is I kind of agree with that sentiment because that's exactly what they do in Yu-Gi-Oh! If there's a problem deck, you don't just outright ban the whole deck, you ban the parts that make it a problem.
Right.
So my thought process here then is I feel like we should at least wait till the next launch of Beyblades and see if those become answers to Rod or if Rod continues to be a problem and move on from there to choose if we ban Rod or Rod on specific combos, because we've done that in the Beyblade space before where you're allowed to use a Beyblade, but if you do it on a specific combo, that combo is banned because it's just too good.
Or what about bringing? I haven't heard about it for a while. Or just bringing back, like if you use Wizard's Rod for example, you automatically give your opponent an additional point.
That could work too.
So just some kind of incentive, or I guess
They they
something like that.
they did try that in a tournament in Japan, but they only did it in the one tournament. So I think the fact that they didn't reuse that rule set or the kind of I think that from at least from Takara Tomi's point of view, it didn't get the results they expected.
Oh,
So
right.
I
yeah,
I
Yeah.
think we did that at my very first tournament um at the library back in May. I think Akuna set up that rule, like if you
yeah,
have certain bits or something, like certain bits, certain build or whatever, you automatically give your opponent uh one additional point per thing or whatever. I can't remember what exactly it was, but I don't know. Maybe Sam could do something like that for his next Kraken Hits tournament.
right. And something to note is that both of my teammates, Egg and Wayward, they've both gotten first place finishes using decks that did not run Wizard Rod at all in both three on three as well as deck format.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I think like uh compared to like y- that's something a little bit different in card games, right? That in Beyblade there's like player I mean there so player the player skill in Beyblade and player skill in card games differ a little bit slightly, right? Because it's more like one's a little bit more interactive, whereas like in card games, the player skill is kind of like knowing all the routes.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, so I would say yeah, like I, I especially now, I would say there's less reason to ban Rod unless you're wanting to ex or like unless you want to like improve deck innovation or and just deck variety in general.
Deck creativity.
Um, yeah.
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 So, uh, but I mean, and again, like the rod debate has been argued for like the last year. So I mean,
Yeah.
a lot. So it's and with newer parts making the rod stamina combo less impactful to a game. I think either people will just naturally phase out of using it as newer parts get released, or that we might get like a new king of stamina or
A new
something.
Wizard Rod variant.
Right, right.
I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past Beyblade. We've already got the MF bit, I think it is, which is basically the dreaded CS part from Metal Fight. Now all we need is a ratchet that fully utilizes it, and then Sting Unicorn, and we're back to square one of okay, now we have a combo that we have to make our Beyblades taller in order to beat.
yeah. Because I think at least in our meta, right? Like the reason, like uh, people moved from Rod Ball to Rod Hexa just because people were expecting more aggressive combos. So in order to minimize the like burst finishes, they swap to the higher resistant a higher
Exactly.
resistant Hexa. And yeah, as players get better and they kind of understand like, hey, yes, you can maximize rod stamina like benefit, um but but as player skill can definitely like ratchet burst rod, you can get really heavy stuff like like the Valkyrie blast on wheel, and just kind of like sumo push your opponent out of into the pocket. Like it's um it it or it comes down to how well you can read the current meta, and because newer parts come in, and especially because like Takara Tomy has definitely come out with like a consistent, like the last few releases have come with at least like one or two good parts per release that people are using now. So it's like compared to
Exactly.
yeah, like 6 or 8 months ago, there was like a good like yeah, like 6 month period where like new releases came out and like people only used them to try them out, but then people eventually fell back to what was consistently winning
What
because
was
those new
working?
parts didn't really didn't really do anything.
Yeah, like a couple good bays that came with ball, or some like a decent bay that came with 360. People are probably just gonna buy buy those bays just for those parts, not for the bays themselves. Like I don't know, really
Yeah.
anyone is going out of their way to buy Shadow Shinobi uh, or Horde Rhino or anything else like that. They're probably just buying them just for the bits or the collector's purposes, just so they can say that they have one.
True. Actually, it's funny you should mention that because I wanted to get back to the topic of the tournament because I've come across a discovery and it's one that I'm not a fan of.
Go ahead, buddy.
I shouldn't have picked Tricera. Good lord, the parts are awful.
Yeah, you should have picked Scorpion out of what was
Yeah,
left.
no
I
kidding,
should have
dude.
picked Scorpion. The thing was, I was so excited to see Tricera because it's like, oh, we finally have a something that'll work for Wizard Rod that matches the 5 points of Wizard Rod and is heavy, so I can make it a nice heavy attacker. And then I
No.
tried it, and then it kept bursting, and then it kept bursting, and I realized, oh no.
Yeah, that Ratchet is some hot garbage, in my opinion.
But
What
I will say the bound spike at least is interesting in a good way because it does help reduce the recoil on hits. So I
I
might
don't mind
find a way to
bounce.
utilize bounce spike.
Yeah, I personally don't mind bounce. What do you guys? What is your guys' most favorite underrated bit to date?
Level.
Fair.
The
Level's good. Martine?
level is just like weirdly good.
Yeah.
Actually, really like Quake.
Ooh, Quake's a good choice.
That's
Oh, yeah.
bold. Your favorite?
I mean, it makes sense, especially if you have like a nice Beyblade that's really good at like a really good like attack Beyblade. Quake is really good for like just absolutely slapping down on them like a lightning bolt.
What
I
about you,
remember.
Emers?
So going back to Quake, I remember seeing I think it was like the Asia Cup in 2024. I remember seeing someone run. I can't remember which blade on Quake during that tournament. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
And
they
then
did.
yeah,
It was Dran Buster
yeah,
560
Yes.
Quake. Yeah,
yeah. And then was
Talk
that the
about a
same tournament?
terrifying Beyblade.
Was that the same tournament where the second place guy ran stock Dran sword?
Yes.
yeah.
That that was also really funny. Um, and then but for me it would probably be the bounce spike. I had or my teammate Egg was he had seen it do really well on Shark Scale, like Shark Scale 450 bounce spike.
Ooh, I bet that.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, because like if Shark Scale can get under a bay or under can get under the opponent's bay and then they push down on it, it'll flip it like a table. Like so so I didn't try it because I didn't bring my bounce spike, but I probably would have tried it for at least a round during in the recent tournament
That's
if I had it with me.
yeah. Wayward just said
So
a Kuna Blader ran bounce on his rod.
Oh yeah, I mean, I I I I
it's
I get
funny
it.
you should mention
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
The reason I brought up bounce spike is because I I don't know if anyone's done this. Someone probably
Not
has.
yet.
Someone probably more famous and makes more money than me has probably already thought of this idea. But I realized with bounce spike, it's really good at taking hits. So I figured that 960 on Silver Wolf, who already has the bit or the plastic
The
that
boat.
The
helps
free,
to
yeah,
take recoil,
the free
could
ring. Yeah,
make it a very aggressive defense type.
yeah. I can see that. I mean, yeah, because like I w yeah, I would definitely run it on 960 just because like I think running it on anything else, because like again, you're like the way bounce spike works, right? It's not going to be a tight fit. Like if someone hits the ratchet, then you might get like a burst finish there. But on 960 that does get minimized, I mean you could even, I don't know if it would work on 450, but um but I mean I wouldn't mind giving I bounce spike a try on my next tournament.
What do you think about putting
Oh,
it
I'm
on
definitely
then?
bringing it to my next tournament. I have to try it on either that or I've heard someone say that the best Beyblade for bounce spike is actually Beat Tyranno, which I want to try that because Beat Tyranno is such a beautiful, weird shaped Beyblade.
Well,
I I I, I love using Tyranno beat on or against other attack types.
yeah.
It like it it there's nothing for other attack types to really catch on, and it's kind of like what Hell's Hammer should have been if it was heavier.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my friends put it beautifully. Beat Tyranno is like the meme of that big chef guy slapping the mouse across the room.
What?
Wait, which
Uh,
one's
there,
that?
there's
Yeah.
there's a famous meme, or there's a pretty popular meme of this big guy who like backhands a character across the room, and I'm trying to remember the text. It's
Oh,
like "shut your MF mouth" or something like that.
oh, is it Kung Fu Panda where Tai Lung hit Master Shifu across the room like
No,
at the end?
I'll show
Or
you guys when I find it.
okay.
Oh God.
It's an older. It's not that old. It's like months old maybe, but
Oh,
I just remember seeing it because there's a YouTuber I watch who used to include it in a lot of his videos.
mhm,
Okay.
okay.
So, kind of going back to it,
But
what do you guys think about the meta, like basically as a whole right now? Do you think it is pretty solid right now? Do you think it's kind of one-sided, like TCG, everyone's running the same sort of thing right now, or what do you guys think?
I think it's pretty much as perfect as we could get for something that's only 2 years old and doesn't have. Let's be honest, guys. Beyblade X is beautiful, but my God, there are a lot of stinker Beyblades out there right now polluting our choices.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah, I
Not
don't
for
true.
lack
disagree.
of trying, but
I think
yeah,
that's one of
there's
the
just
biggest problems is the difference between what I'd consider to be the top tier of bays and even like if we go like you know, F through S, which I think is generally pretty common for tiers. The S tiers, like over the A and B tiers, there's a huge difference even. And then when we
Yes.
get down to like the D and F tiers, I mean, those are just totally and completely unplayable in any sort of competitive format.
Yeah, very
It's
very true. Very
it's
true.
kind of just ridiculous how, I mean, hey Beyblade X players, you all know what I'm about to say here when I say we're polluted with so many bad Beyblades. Hey, Takara Tomy, Hasbro, you guys, why are we having a set coming out that is the same Beyblade but on two different combos and it's Wizard Arrow? You guys need to
Oh,
stop with the Wizard Arrow remakes. We get it.
I mean, they're
yeah,
The new
yeah,
Spider-Man one,
yeah, the
the
collaboration
Hasbro
phase.
Duo
Yeah.
Pack. Yes. Oh my
yeah, the
God.
Miles Mahones or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Miles Morales.
Miles
Yes.
Morales
It's
and
like
yeah, Miles Morales
Beyblade. Make
and
something new. You guys, when you make something new, it's beautiful. I mean, look at some of the newer Beyblades. Scorpio, Soul, the new Soul Bay that's going to be coming out, Brush Fox. Like, you guys have so many innovative designs that you can continue to make, and you keep remaking the old ones that don't work anymore and haven't worked since day one.
I think the intention of the collaboration bays are mainly just to get people that are interested in those other franchises, but not necessarily our Beyblade players to be like, hey, I'll give it a shot, right? And then, so I think I, I, I think the collaboration bays are generally more for collection purposes and more to get like newer players, uh, like possibly interested in in Beyblade, but then it's kind of like what is it? You know, like the Magic the Gathering, like the collaboration secret layers or whatever.
yeah, like
A
Final
lot of them are
Fantasy.
just yeah, like a lot of them are just like reskinned of like existing cards, or like the ones that are original are not necessarily overpowered. They're just kind of like okay. Um, and so like it's mainly just to get people interested in the game. So like, so you're like, hey, I like Transformers, but I don't like, I'm not, I haven't played Beyblade since I was a kid, or I'm a kid and and I've been watching Transformers on TV or whatever, and I wanna, or I'm a kid. I watch Spider-Man and his friends or whatever, and then and I see a Spider-Man Bay and I'm like, oh, I'll try that, or I'll watch a Marvel movie and you're like, it's just to get them like they're not overly strong where like people are gonna like either scalp them or hoard them, but they're again it like if these collaboration bays had come out at like the very beginning, like year one of Beyblade, then maybe they could have like instantly grew the initial player base by a larger amount because people would be like, yeah, like, or like Dran sword. I don't know what a Dran is, but I know what I know what Venom. I know what Venom is, right?
Right.
So I'll do that, or like, oh, like Shark Edge it just looks like a shark or a triangle sticking out of the water, and that. But then I know Optimus Primal. I grew up with Beast Wars, so like I'll buy that and I'll give Beyblade a shot like that. I the collaboration bays I think are just it's just a way to get like people interested in Beyblade, but not be so overly valuable that that it's going to be hard to find them because then that defeats the purpose of making them widely available for people to get into the hobby.
Yeah, it's like kind of something that we were
Me-
going off of like last week. They have all these collaborations, the Star Wars, the Transformers, the Spider-Man,
Mhm.
uh what was the other one?
The Jurassic
Transform
Park.
Jurassic Park, thank you.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
got those like collaborations, but one thing I think all of us really wants to see is a Power Rangers Beyblade.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, have
I
I
mean,
got great news for you? Because if you get Red Tyranno beat put it on kick and put it on a red 360. Congratulations, you have a Megazord.
Jesus.
Because I mean the if you look at the red Tyranno beat, it looks like it looks like the Kyoryuger emblem.
Oh,
Exactly.
So
I could
Also,
see
hey,
that. I could see that.
Hasbro, if you're listening and you want to make some big money and you want to do a collab bay, take Shark Scale, collab with Jaws. There you go. You got your money.
yeah, I mean, so if you notice though, like a lot of the collaboration, the franchises that they've collaborated with, a lot of them are, toy franchises that Hasbro already has like licenses
Yeah.
for.
So Power Rangers.
So yeah, I think it's just a matter of like,
Matter of time.
getting in contact with, yeah, I think the reason why, or like, especially because now that Power Rangers changed, like toy, like manufacturers, like it's,
Again, yes.
yeah, so it's like, so like those those licensing discussions can take a long time. So it's so they like this could have been planned in year one, but then it only just finally went through now, right? So it's like, and by that time you like they need to have time to produce them. They've already, so that could be a reason why we're getting all of these echoes of like wave one Beyblades. It's just the fact that they planned this during wave one, but they couldn't get the agreements completed until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So
Egg Salad just put up in chat Sonic Beyblade crossover.
yeah,
That'd be wild.
That'd be super
Oh,
cool. That'd be dope.
I
Especially a metal coat blue Sonic and a metal coat red Knuckles. I'd love that.
yep. Mm-hmm.
oh
So
my
would you put
gosh.
Knuckles and Sonic together, or would you put Sonic and Tails together
I
in a dual pack? Because obviously the collaborations come as duels.
Mm.
I mean, if you're
What
going
you
off of like,
do,
yeah,
you do Sonic Shadow, uh, Eggman, Tails, and then Knuckles Rouge.
I was thinking more.
God,
Uh,
I mean, if you're
Uh,
going off of like the current Sonic movies, right? Like, if you were going off of like Sonic 2, right, then you would say Knuckles and Eggman in one set would be something, and then and Sonic and Tails would work. Like, you got to take into account like what they're trying to promote and everything. So
that's true. That's true.
yeah,
yeah,
so
Sonic and
I would that
Sonic
yeah.
and Shadow or Metal Sonic is what Eggman or Egg Salad is suggesting. I don't
Yeah.
think
I think
Sonics together would be kind of a cool would not be a cool idea. Space those out,
yeah,
but
fair.
yeah,
I mean,
I'd like to see metal or mecha or whatever you want to call them Sonic. I think that'd be dope.
yeah, put that with
Um,
Egg.
That they're both a thing. That's the
mhm,
beautiful part, and they're different
well,
characters.
right.
that's fair. I will say that Emrys had a good point that I do think that the collab bays have been largely successful in bringing in new players. Now, could they have been a little bit more successful if they'd come out earlier on in the game's life? Yeah, probably. But
Absolutely.
out of the three people that are kind of into Beyblade in my area up in St. Cloud that I have sort of like, I don't want to say forced, but kind of poked and prodded them to check it out and then to continue to play and then to get excited about it. Every single one of those people was very excited about the collabs. And so far, just from my empirical evidence, the Marvel one seems to be the one that gets the most people the most excited.
Mhm.
But obviously, depending on your friend group and kind of who you know, that could vary, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah, go
I,
ahead, Chad.
just quickly here. Sorry,
No, no, you're good. This is
I'm gonna
everyone's
go eat some
podcast.
food because I haven't had dinner yet.
Oh
No,
shit. Yeah, you're good. Get on out of here.
All right,
Yeah, Chad,
you gentlemen have a
you go have a
wonderful
good
rest
night.
of your day. And as to the viewers, remember, if you don't spin the metal, you're not doing it right.
Have a good
I
night,
thought there was gonna be a
Chad.
rhyme there. I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah,
I
I was
couldn't
very
think
let
of a
down.
rhyme. Okay, okay, I'm tired. I've been working all day. I'll figure out a rhyme for the next podcast.
Oh God. All right. Have a good night.
Anyways, y'all have a good
Ha-
one.
yep.
Have a good one,
Yeah.
Chad. Now,
But
Bye, Chad.
real,
Yeah,
Real quick, Cake. I assume we're gonna wrap it up soon, but I did want to ask. You guys had something you wanted to share about uh rulings or rules at this previous tournament. You said we were gonna get to it later, and we've kind of
yeah,
forgotten about it.
yeah. Because obviously, five great minds right now are just kind of going at it, talking
Uh,
Beyblades. It has not even felt like almost an hour and a half since we started. That's the best part about this whole podcast thing about Beyblades. If you get great minds thinking alike, time goes by fast.
You're not lying.
No, absolutely. Like this is our third podcast, and all three of them have just flew on by ridiculously fast. But yeah, like one of the rules that happened this past weekend, and it was very unfortunate, especially personally from my end. Violet, you were the judge. It was actually Chad and I versing each other. And I think it was his wizard rod that extremed himself. And
Yep.
per the Kraken rules and everything, I automatically get the 3 points, even though there was no contact. I personally do not
Right.
agree with that rule whatsoever. Do a relaunch, give him a warning or something, but just don't full on penalize for something that he
So
completely did not have any sort of control over.
So I can speak to that a little bit. Obviously, the situation as you explained it was pretty cut and dry. There was no room for me as a judge to do anything other than what we've been instructed to do by our
Yeah, you
TO,
had to do
right?
your job.
Um, Now I was told by both Sam and Akuna that up to this point, pretty much up to this event, they had both been running the self KO without contact is only 1 point ruling, which I think a lot of people preferred because there were a couple people elsewhere throughout the tournament who also commented on this. However, my understanding is that the full points, even for a self KO with zero contact, is what they are doing in Japan at the moment. And I think the idea was to move to a more similar format
Okay.
to what Takara Tomy is doing in their regions.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, okay. The in terms of how the points are scored, that is correct. I'm not sure about the intention about making our rules similar to Japan's, because in the last what is it? The last major live stream Japan tournament, the what is it, the Extreme Cup or whatever. In the finals, um, the what's her name? H Chan or something, or H10. um, she uh she n- she lost because she KO'd herself
Oh,
in and so and the argument there is that you you could have did it come down to like lack of player control, or just, you know, just a bad, like, just the fact that they just connected at just the right angle, the right speeds, where, or that they avoided each other and then just ran and just decided to run off the run out the stadium, right?
yeah.
It's just kind of like, because the argument is like, yeah, the own finish rule is meant to just kind of minimize um that aspect of, like, the fact that, yes, you could accidentally shoot too hard, or launch it at just the I wouldn't say the right angle, but like just at enough of an angle where it just hits the rail and just runs itself out, right?
Yeah.
It's it I don't like it's gonna like I think that's a part of Beyblade. It's kind of like, if if it comes down to like say, hey, I feel like I didn't earn those points because my opponent just kind of ran themselves out. But then it's like, part of it could be stadium design. I mean, because like this, it's been like, it's happened in like older generations where you launch and then they just, especially in like in burst gen, right? Or because the pockets in burst gen are evenly spaced around the stadium, and if you just launch as hard as you can and you just run yourself out, that's kind of on you, right?
Yeah.
So, at what do you want to modify the rules to say, hey, you're not careful enough, so we're going to like minimize those points just so you don't get as mad as you could have, or what, or or do you say leave that, or do what we did in this past stadium and say, um, if you haven't been practicing your launches to avoid KOing yourself, then that's kind of on you, right? I don't. My brain's kind of a little bit,
No,
or
no.
Oh
not all the
yeah,
way there.
I feel like yeah, if you do self KO or
Mhm,
if you do like, it comes down to like how you launched and stuff like that. And I mean, it makes more sense like I guess in the terms of like the higher up you go, like the more stricter the rules can be. Because I've
mhm,
definitely had games where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm close to winning this, and then I've like self KO'd myself, and I'm just like, that's me. That's just on like how I launched, because like
mhm,
it happens every now and then, so it's just something try to keep in mind, like being conscious of like, okay, like where am I gonna try to launch the stadium? Or if you're like on the right side, you want to kind of stay away from the extreme zone,
mhm,
or try to get like a flat launch in the middle. So that's something that you just got to be mindful of when you're launching your bay, is like, oh, trying not to self KO so you can make contact and not
So
just land in the pocket.
Right.
So
And
what I would say, and this is just my quick opinion on it, like because I kind of like went at it from like this is what I think the logic was of the organizers for this previous event. Um, from a player perspective, nothing feels worse than launching yourself into the X rail, whipping around once, and going out the extreme zone.
from
And
both
a close
ends.
second is, yeah, and a close second is nothing feels, you know, I guess it's a little bit better, but also nothing. It doesn't feel great when you launch yourself right into one of the over pockets, right? Like that also kind of sucks.
or
Um,
or self burst. But yeah.
well, that's a thing too. But
Mm-hmm.
what I will say is, yes, there is going to be some element of like the get good mindset, and that's not exactly how Emrys put it. I think he put it more nicely and generously. But at if you want to be a top level blader, you should be trying to minimize self KOing, right? Self KOing, sometimes it's a fluke, but I think a lot of the time it can be prevented by better launch techniques, or even sometimes just not ripping it as absolute, like as hard as you absolutely can every single time. Like a little more finesse, a little more strategy. And at top level play, that is what players should be doing. Um, Now, the other thing I would say is for ranked events, even like local ranked events, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, giving my opponent 2 or 3 points because I self KO kind of feels bad. And it still does, right? Even at like local ranked events, it does feel bad. But for players who plan on going to state championships, to regionals, nationals, potentially even worldwide events at some point, you have to practice throughout the week the way you want to play on Sunday, right? Like they preach that in all professional sports, practice the way you want to play. So if you're practicing and taking it easy on yourself and only giving your opponent 1 point for a self KO, and then you go to regionals, nationals, worlds, and it's totally different, you're not going to be prepared for that format. You're just
Mhm.
not.
Yeah.
Um, the last thing I'll say, and this is purely from a judging standpoint, it is easier objectively for judges to not have to make the call as to whether or not there was contact, because yes, sometimes it is very obvious, but sometimes it's not. If
mhm,
it's just a small clip, or like they didn't touch but they got real close, like I think the less judgment calls we leave in the hands of our judges, the better the game is going to be. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, that
It's just
last
like
I
in the
agree.
NFL.
that last part
The
really makes
less
sense.
Mhm,
the less they leave in the hands of the referees, like this season in NFL, they have this new stuff where they have like it's supposed to spot the ball and measure for first downs like through like cameras and all this fancy stuff that's much more precise than you or I as human beings are. The more they take that kind of thing out of the referee's hands, the less mistakes that happen and the better gameplay experience that can be served to all players, right? So, do I love it? I honestly I don't like it. If it was if I made the WBO rules for the entire planet, I would love to only give people, the opponent 1 point if someone KOs themselves. With that being said, that is not how they're playing in TT regions right now. And if we want to be standardized with the rest of the world, we have to start doing it this way. And again, it does remove another aspect that judges need to watch out for, which I think is healthier for not being upset with judges not having to make questionable calls. It keeps the game a little cleaner, objectively.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, all
I
that.
agree. 100%.
Yeah, all that makes complete sense. But obviously, coming from a player's perspective, coming from both ends, either you self extreme or your opponent self extremes. That's 3 points that weren't necessary, especially at that time. That it could have went either way if it wasn't for that.
So I would say, um, at least in like for example in our me and Chad's finals game, right? Uh, the we did get like he extremed or I got extremed in set two,
Yes.
and then I extremed him in set three, and I believe in set two, actually, it might have been in both cases. There was not a whole lot of contact. Like I believe the extreme finishes happened fairly quickly after launch, so there wasn't a ton of interaction before like it it, and that's where kind of like all the skill that goes into the launch process, right? It ends at the launch process, or it ends once you launch. Because once they hit the stadium, any number of variables can happen where they could connect at just the right angle and then just instantly fly into a pocket, or like I've seen stamina things where they circle each other for like a minute and a half, and then suddenly they're moving at comparable speeds. They finally hit each other, and you would think they would both fly back equally. One of them somehow sits there like a rock, and then the other one just shoots off into the pocket.
Yeah.
And it's like there's it um there's once it hits the stadium, yeah, there's just so many variables, and like what Vile said, like if you can minimize that for the judge, because like unless the judge is recording the match and can go back and say, hey, yeah, it looks like the like it looks like these two bays were chasing each other the entire time, but they never actually touched.
Yeah.
But then with how high speed X is, like that you can't rely on having a camera set up and everything, and the nature of Beyblade X with the extreme pocket, like that extreme pocket is meant for the big swings, right?
Yeah.
In points, like it's it like if you yeah, like and that's the way that the stadium is designed. Like you could theoretic like if they were to do like a version 2 standard stadium and like raise the wall of the extreme pocket to make it harder for base to jump the rail and get in there, but then like all those hypotheticals are hypotheticals. You can only decide or choose based off of what is currently there, and the rule and we are 2 years in, and we are two and some months in for Beyblade X, and Takar Tomy continues to play using these specific rules. So like, and they have a whole design team behind it all, right? We may not agree with it. Like there are card games where you're like, oh, I think this rule is stupid, or oh, I um, like a certain card game just updated the rules for end of match procedure, or and a lot of people are saying like, oh, I do not like what happens at the end of the match. But then I've seen some I've seen uh judge reports that say, oh, the the tournament actually ran a bit smoother under the new rules. Or like the regionals this past weekend actually ran a bit smoother because players are more conscious of the clock or whatever, right?
People just aren't
So
big thing of change though.
right.
Yeah,
That
people
that
So
people hate change.
mhm,
that's
Emrys
pro
had a great Emrys had a great point. Like this happened in Magic a number of years ago, and I think a lot of people are familiar with Magic, where you used to take mana burn damage if you tap too many lands or other sources of mana in a turn. And when they got rid of mana burn, a lot of longtime players were pissed off. But realistically, not having to worry about that opened up a lot of new deck combinations, but also it made the game simpler for newer players. And at the end of the day, like we want high level play, whether it's a card game or a video game or Beyblade. We want high level play to require strategy, to require finesse, to require, great skill and dedication. But on the flip side, we also want our game to be as easily accessible to new players as possible, because without new players and without retaining those new players, we don't have the high level tournament players of tomorrow, right?
yeah. Wayward posted, judges still have to look for midair and early/late launches. Isn't Contact isn't asking much judges for judges to do, which is fair. Like we're not asking for judges just to sit there and calculate like the wins and loses. Like they actually like the drops are probably one of the most important things to look out for. Like penalizing for the launches are I think is a great rule.
So I couldn't believe actually in the finals match, and Emrys was obviously there. He was playing in it, and Chad's not with us at the moment, but he was
R.I.P.
playing
Chad.
in it too. I could not believe how many early or late launches were called, and I don't know if that's just a difference in my judging style, or maybe I just haven't judged nearly as many events, obviously, as Sam has, who's I'm sure has judged tens, if not hundreds, of events
Yeah,
at this point.
countless.
Um, but I am definitely a like let the players play type of judge, and that's not just in this. It's the same for anything I do. Um, I'm probably less likely than the average judge to penalize an early or late launch, to the point I think I only did it 2 times the entire event. And the argument could be made I should have done it more, but I'm more of like, if it's not super egregious, I just let the players play the game. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And then
I
also
And maybe it's just they were in the finals too, right? Like maybe that should be judged a little tighter. Like, Swiss is a little different.
yeah.
I don't think any judge should be looking as hard at some random match in round two as they should at the finals, right? Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
okay. I I my opinion differs there just because like again, something I noticed is that our stands are higher up than Japan stands. Like if you watch like Japan like tournaments,
Aren't they on the
they're
ground?
no, they generally have them on stands, but I believe the stands are like half as tall as the stands that we use.
Oh, okay.
So when you're holding the launchers, you're holding them more down than like forward, like you know.
Yeah.
So I would say if we had stands a little bit lower, and people were launching down more instead of across, then we would get less midair impacts. But then again, that would be more of a logistics thing. But I would say like uh from and from a, or at, as players when we're launching together, like the judges can sit lower down, right?
Yeah.
So they can see the blades from a more parallel to the stadium like view, so they can distinguish more the midair impact or late launch, right?
Yeah.
Because easier than the players can, because like I believe during my and Chad matches we had a couple of midair impacts, and I think Chad got hit for a early launch on in one of the sets, and then like because when we're launching, we're like we're locked into where we want to place the bay, but then when we're shooting it, um, like again, we're aiming for a specific point. Your opponent could be aiming for something that's in also in line of sight, and if they hit each other, that loosens the bay. That like I've seen it where they hit midair and then one just like explodes, right, or like bursts right away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so I feel like having the or calling a relaunch on a midair contact, or an early and early and or early or late launches, is, as long as the judge is properly like ducking down to get more parallel with the stadium, it should be a lot easier for them to see it and call it. And I think it's valid because like ideally you want the base to hit the stadium and then make contact, right?
Yeah,
Um,
hit the stadium at
so
the same time.
right, because
Yeah.
like in the shows, uh, like in the shows, like the stadiums are huge, so obviously when they're launching to like they have a whole section of the board that they can contact, and then you get the whole spiral, and then they randomly homing in on each other like missiles. But then, but like yeah, like in Japan, like that is what they do. Like if you're launching early, they'll just stick their hand in the stadium, prevent the things from going forward.
Yeah.
If midair contact, they do call those. Um, they're and like something that Japan does, I think. At least I remember seeing it in one of them, is like they launched in the stadium. There was one match where uh I have no idea how it happened. There was no contact, but there was one bay that hit the rail and then shot out the top, and but there was no contact. And they decided to relaunch that because like yeah, both bays hit the stadium, but then one of them, instead of going into any of the approved pockets, it launched out the top,
That's
which
wild.
in a perfect in a in a technologically like advanced and like ideal situation, once you launch into the or launch through the shroud opening, somehow that opening should like seal itself, right? Because like the bays should be going out the pockets, if at all. It shouldn't be going like, if you launch something hard enough that it goes out the left or right side, where that's just kind of like a limitation of how the stadium is put together, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it should like it can happen if you're launching hard enough and it hits and like it pushes through the plastic, but it should like it that's not a valid win condition ideally. And the same thing, like the bays shouldn't fly out the top, but you know and we've played tournaments where shooting out the top counts as a overfinish, and I've been in tournaments where the going out the shroud is just a relaunch. Going out the top counts as 1 point. Like it's like I don't know. It's I would say like yeah, if we want to have a proper competitive environment, having the rules standardized is key. Because then everyone's playing under the same conditions. But then I don't know where I'm going with this. I think I changed tangents like 3 times.
Oh,
No, you're
it's
still
good,
locked
bro.
in.
It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're still
The
locked
the
in.
one thing
yeah, yeah.
the one thing I'll say to you, Emrys, is I
Mhm.
agree with the last thing you said, like 140,000%. We all need to be standardized. We need to be playing with the same rules as people in Nebraska, as people in Florida, Texas, California. And all of us here in the US need to be playing under the same rules as people in Japan, as
Yes.
people in the Philippines, as people in Taiwan, wherever. That is incredibly important, especially if you want to have a worldwide scene where players from different states, from different countries can all go to big major events and play together, and everyone knows what to expect.
Yeah.
Um,
Going off of the
that's
first
super
episode.
important.
Yeah, going off of the first episode. Beyblades in the Olympics. If the US is running different rules and regulations and everything else like that compared to Japan or let's just say Asia altogether or Europe or wherever, is definitely going to make some confusions, and that's only if, probably not, but we all can hope if Beyblades do become part of the Olympics.
I feel like we should agree that it should count as a point if you get knocked over, and it should just be considered an over finish. I feel like that would be, you know, because like there's times in the anime where if you knock, they're like obviously the anime is like more like, oh my god, like yo, they knocked each other out the stadium. Oh, like
I mean,
usually it's just an over finish.
right, because I mean, if you're playing like the Beyblade like X1 like video game and everything, like and like those are played on like an anime style stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like if stuff goes out if stuff goes flying out, that's considered an overfinish because you can't, or mainly because the anime doesn't have a shroud, right? Like the anime stadiums don't have a shroud, and just in the video games which mimic this, which can mimic the anime, there's no shroud, right? So that like the design of the standard stadium is like, yeah, if the shroud didn't exist and stuff flew out, that would be an overfinish because like there would be no other way to classify that, right? Like you,
100%.
because like what happened, but and like because like and because then it becomes kind of like a region thing because if you look at because then if it flies out over if it flies out over like where the shroud would be on an anime stadium, but it's over the extreme pocket, right? That would you call that 3 points then? Even though it flew over the extreme pocket instead of into the extreme pocket.
I'd say so.
So yeah.
See, and
So
that's
like
that's interesting. That's really interesting to think about. But most of all, guys, I think the standardization is super important. And as to what was being said a little bit earlier regarding, I I maybe misspoke a little bit earlier. I definitely like I probably would say I take a very casual approach to like launch timing as long as someone's not egregious about it. But I don't like the midair collisions. I do try to call those 100% of the time when I see them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because those are really bad. And to me, that's a lot worse than one guy went a quarter of a second early or late on launching their bay. As long as both bays hit the arena, they're both spinning. But yeah, they shouldn't be colliding in midair because I've seen all sorts of crazy bursts happen as a result of midair collision because the bays are hitting each other in a way that they almost never will when they're both on the floor in the stadium, right?
Yeah, we should cut our stands in half.
Well, that's what I'm curious. So I don't know if Wayward is still watching, but if he is, I'd be curious to hear his opinion on this. We all kind of know Wayward's the premier crafter of bay stadiums in the state of Minnesota and probably for all of the Midwest, I would argue. So, Wayward, if you are listening, and this isn't, please don't take this as an attack or anything like that at all, but I'm legitimately curious. Is there a reason that you tend to design the stands a little taller than the ones they do over in Asia?
Yeah, he probably has a special format that he goes off of, but we can give him some time to answer. But we should probably kind of start wrapping it up actually, because we've been almost 2 hours in.
You're not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if EmrysTal, congratulations on the win.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
big win.
100%.
Yep, congrats.
That's a big win. Is there anything that you would want to shout out? Anything that you would want the viewers to know, the people of the community to know?
Yeah.
I want to say that I owe my win to my teammates. I got a lot of good advice on what to on my combos. Like I picked the combos, but I did get a lot of advice from Egg and Wayward on how I'm launching and what to look out for. And then the uh, Wayward provided me the dragon grip attachment for the long ripcord winder, because mine hadn't shown up yet, and like the that that smoothed out my launches so much, because like I've never like I am an aggressive launcher, but I always prioritize launching smoothly over launching aggressive or launching hard. And the dragon grip made that a huge difference for me. Other people like, and to the point where like I really hope I get that 25th anniversary set. Like, if mine's on back order, and I'm hoping that it doesn't get canceled eventually because I do want an official one.
Yeah.
And that so like I owe my I would say I owe my win completely to my teammates.
Yeah,
And
big shout out to Egg Salad and Wayward. They're just great people overall.
Mhm. Yeah, and Kraken, like like it was a very smoothly run tournament. Sam was a great tournament organizer. Like uh like I saw minimal like minimal hiccups, and which is like ideal for a like tournament environment.
Yeah, like all of the tournaments that I've been to at Kraken via Sam have been nothing but smooth. I don't really can think of any major issues. So big shout out to Sam and Kraken Hits for putting those on.
Yeah,
And
Sam's a
yeah,
really good dude. I got a chance to talk to him for a couple hours after the event I was kind of helping clean up a little bit and stuff. And Sam's just a really nice guy. And I had
and
never really gotten a chance to talk to him before. And he's just a really cool dude.
then and like and Acuna and Vile, like I think I was at all three stations at one point for over the course of the tournament. And like like again, all the judges, I had no complaints on any of the rulings. um yeah, like it was a smooth experience, and that's the best that you can hope for.
All right,
I appreciate that, Emrys, because that was my first event I'd ever judged.
so Wayward actually answered you, Vile. He says that he can make shorter ones, but when he started, they used to play on tables, so
Mhm.
he went that height. It's kind of the standard height for NA.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I mean,
And that's totally fair. That's totally fair. If that's what the customers want, that's what he's got to do. I get it.
Yep, he makes good products, so highly recommend. But anyway, let's.
those stands are dope. Those stands are
Yeah.
dope. I was hemming and hawing about whether or not I wanted to buy one, and I think after the event, I'm definitely going to.
Yep, I
yeah.
probably
I mean,
will.
and the height is consistent when compared to like other stands that we've seen across the country. So I wouldn't say like we're like our stadiums are set higher than other people. Like I feel like it's, yeah, when he said like it's the general standard for NA, I would say that's accurate based
Yeah.
off of other tournament videos I've seen from
Yeah.
across the various regions.
All right.
That's totally fair. Cake. Before we wrap up, did you want to shout out the upcoming events? I know we have an event this weekend and also the following weekend as well.
Yes, sir. You actually beat me right to it. So this weekend, September 14th at 12:30 p.m. in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It will be at the library downtown. So if you guys have that day off from work, go ahead, check that out. And then the 20th, that one is put on by Acuna, if I'm not mistaken. My verification is
Library is always Acuna.
yeah,
Yeah.
Acuna. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, you also never know. So, but yeah, Acuna is putting on that one this coming weekend, the 14th. The next weekend, the 20th, at 2 o'clock in Friendly, Minnesota, at Kraken Hits. It is actually a pizza party. So that one is going to be, yeah, that one's going to be very fun. $7 gets you a slice of pizza or something. And it's also a team battle. So it's
A,
going to
mi-
be,
er, a mixed team battle. So you don't prepare a team beforehand. it's kind of like everyone gets randomly assigned to a team, so
Yeah,
you get to
that's
play with people that you may not normally interact with, so
yeah.
which
So
will make for some interesting interactions.
yeah, absolutely. So personally, I'd probably pre-reg. Oh yeah, definitely pre-register. There are several. There are. Oh my god, there's only 16 people signed up for that one so far out of 48.
We're at the library or the
A
pizza
Kraken
party.
hits on the 20th. There are 16 people signed up for that one.
We need to get some more pre-regs on there.
Yeah, no kidding. Then also that following Sunday, the 28th at 12 o'clock noon in Minneapolis, Minnesota at Level Up Games. That one is put together by Holly. So there are 3 events left of the month of September. Yep. So the one this weekend has 11 people, 11 spots available. Kraken Hits has like 32. Yeah, 32 openings. So get on that one. And then, oh, why am I signed up for that one? The one on September 28th. Actually, I gotta leave that one. So there is now 1 spot open for the 28th. So if one of you guys want to go ahead and snag that right now, being a live listener, you have that ability to do so. So those are the last 3 events of September. October's should be probably rolling up momentarily. But anything else that you guys would like to kind of shout out or quick little thing before we send everyone else up on their way?
Thank you for having me.
Oh no,
Thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, the honor was all ours. I know I told you a certain time, and I do apologize that it took a little bit actually took a lot longer than what we initiated, but the conversations were just there. So deeply appreciate you. So is there like a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel or any other kind of channel that you would like to personally shout out so people can kind of come and check you out?
Oh, I'm not blading for on social media. It's more, I'm more of a just show up in person and have fun type of thing.
Well, yeah, if you
Yeah.
even if you don't do
Oh,
anything
yeah,
Beyblades or anything else like
Oh,
that, give yourself a shout out. You deserved it. It was a great win.
yeah, but my social media is pretty private, so I don't have or post often.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respectable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not trying to.
I'm a older millennial, so I'm on social media, but I don't post. I post like I think I've posted like once in like the last like 6 months.
No, you're good, buddy.
Don't
You're.
post on social media at all, so you're good.
Yep. Absolutely. No.
That's totally fair.
No judgments whatsoever.
Yeah, just before we roll, I wanted to congratulate Emrys one more time on his victory. Shout out Chad real quick on the second place finish. And then Sam just for being a great TO and running a great event. And I'm always going to shout out Acuna because I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So
fair enough.
That's kind of that.
Martine, do you have anyone that you would like to kind of shout out?
Shout out Sam. Shout out Kraken Hits. I love that place.
Yeah.
I'll probably be there Wednesday. So
actually, fair enough.
Want to meet up?
Yeah, after work I get out at 10, so I will try my best to get over there as well, even if it's just for a little bit. All right, guys. So that is the episode, the Spin Zone Podcast, episode 3. Make sure you give this a follow. Give us a 5-star ranking. All a little bit and support helps. Like and share. Do whatever that you guys got to do. And until next time, guys. So long.